Hey guys, what is up? How are you feeling today? I have great news. I just finished negotiating with the expedition organizers today. I got in all the quotes. There's still some quotes outstanding, but yeah, I got in all the quotes, and yeah, as it seems, I have found my organizer for this year and negotiated a very good price for Annapurna, maybe Makalu, and Mount Everest at the end. So yeah, that's great news. I'm super happy. The prices are good, and yeah, after I have done that part or finished that part, I can focus on the rest, on my training, and yeah, get even more energy to train, because this is just another part, an organizational thing that is out of my head and I don't have to care about anymore. So that's great, and yeah, gives me a lot of confidence that I can yeah, try and climb these mountains this season. So yeah, as I mentioned before, it's definitely gonna be the case that I will be climbing Annapurna in April. So I will start going up there in the middle of March to the Annapurna base camp, prepare the base camp, go up and down, acclimatize, and then somewhere around mid of April it's possible to climb Annapurna. And since I'm going without oxygen and solo, I have to acclimatize even longer before that. So what I will probably do, I haven't decided on that yet, but what I'll most likely be doing is I'll fly to Kathmandu mid of or end of February, as I already told you, and maybe go to the Sagarmatha National Park. So this is basically just the Everest region, the three valleys there. And yeah, I will probably just go there and train. You know, there's right next to the Everest base camp is a nice mountain called Kalapata, next to the little village of Gorakshep. And it's a super great training ground. And yeah, I did that last year. I was running up and down Kalapatar. I think Kalapatar is 5,600 and something meters high. And you start at around 4,800 something. Yeah, and it's a nice route up there to the summit and back. It's a super nice training mountain, and yeah, I'm considering if that should be my training ground again this year, and then go back to Kathmandu and go to the Annapurna region and go to the base camp and then start the expedition. So yeah, that's the plan. And after that, the plan is to go down with the Jeep, go to the Makalu base camp. Yeah, so the expedition organizer told me I should fly from Pokhara to Kathmandu, and from Kathmandu I should take the plane to Lukla. From Lukla I should use the helicopter to the Makalu base camp, and from there the helicopter to the Everest base camp. It's all included in this price, and yeah, that's what he suggested, because otherwise I won't be able to climb all three of these mountains in time and regenerate enough. So yeah, I for the moment I'm following his suggestion, but I want to make sure, or I want to at least try to not use the helicopter and the planes as much as possible, go with the Jeep, but I will see how that goes. I'll definitely consider taking the flight from Lukla from Kathmandu to Lukla, but I don't know if I should take the helicopter from there to the Makalu base camp and from Makalu to the Everest base camp. That's not decided yet. If I can do it without the helicopter, I definitely do that and just walk there. But yeah, I have to decide on that situational, how it's there, how the weather is, how my body feels, how my mental state is. So yeah, I'll just prepare it, have the option ready, and then I can decide if I go with it or not. All right, sounds good so far. Yeah, so after Annapurna, go up to Makalu, try Makalu. If I'm even able to do that, it has to be, yeah, it's really depending on my physical and mental condition, if I'm even able to do the Makalu after the Annapurna. And maybe if I'm exhausted, my body's exhausted too much, maybe I have to skip Makalu in order to have a chance at Everest. So I really have to be careful and cautious because I cannot put too much pressure on my body. I have to see if my body is even capable of doing that 3 8,000ers without oxygen solo. It's quite intense. Not a lot of people do that, and I don't know if I can do that. So I have to be very, very careful and see if my body can withstand that or not. And in order to have a fair shot on Everest, I have to be careful and maybe skip Makalu. But again, same with the helicopter. I have to decide that on the spot when I'm there, when I can feel in my body, when I see my mental state, when I see if I'm able to regenerate very fast, if Annapurna was going easy or if it was going hard. All these things matter quite a lot and are factors if I can climb all 3 of them or none of them. So that's it. And then the final boss would be Everest. Then walk or fly over to the Everest base camp. By that I should be acclimatized extremely well, because I was at Annapurna at 8,091 meters, then on Makalu, which is 8,456 meters, and the last and final boss would be Mount Everest, 8,848 meters, which is extremely high and super hard. And I don't know if I'm able to do that without oxygen, but I want to at least give it a try. And that would be somewhere around the 2nd week of May or maybe the 3rd week of May, depending on the jet stream and the weather window. I am still thinking about if I will climb Everest the normal route, or if I want to go on a very special solo route. I'm not gonna explain the alternative in this video, but definitely in another video I'll talk about the possible alternative I could do solo and maybe completely on my own. But it's also a very dangerous alternative, so I have to really think about it. I'm afraid, I'm excited, I'm frightened and hyped up at the same time when I think about this route. But more about that in another video. So I would like to talk a little bit more about acclimatization, what my strategy is for acclimatization, and what acclimatization even is, as far as I can describe it and as far as I understood it. Acclimatization basically means that your body is adapting to its environment. That could be like heat acclimatization. If you're coming from the north going to the south and suddenly it's much warmer, your body, your sweat, your heart rate, everything has to adapt and acclimatize to the new weather and climate. And it's the same with mountaineering. So right now we're at sea level here, so we have 1 bar of pressure at on our body, usually approximately. That's I think 1,080 or 24 or 40, somewhere around that hectopascal per square centimeter. Is that correct? I don't know exactly anymore. But so this is just the amount of air pressing on our body, on every square centimeter of our body, of our skin, and putting everything in place. So this is the pressure here at sea level, and the oxygen we can breathe here is around, what was it exactly, 21%, and then we have about 77 to 78% nitrogen in the air, and the last 1-2% are like special gases and carbon dioxide and other molecules. So on 8,000 meters you still have the same percentage of oxygen. You still have 21% of oxygen, you have the same nitrogen and so on. But what actually happens, hold on, I'll have to continue the point later. So as I was just explaining, the percentage of oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases and molecules up there on 8,000 or 8,800 meters is basically the same, but the pressure is different. As I said, around here we have 1 bar atmospheric pressure. So that means, for example, if I breathe in now, you know, maybe my lungs have a capacity of 8 liters of air, you know, I get a certain amount of oxygen into my lungs, and then my blood or my cardiovascular system is able to move all that oxygen through my body, also depending on how my fitness is and how well my body can absorb and use the oxygen. But this is generally how it works. Okay, it's super complex, and I cannot go into detail how it exactly works. Just as a rough figure, you know, if you go, for example, down onto water 10 meters, you don't have the atmospheric pressure of 1 bar, you suddenly have the atmospheric pressure of 2 bar. That means 1 bar from our atmosphere, and 10 meters of water put another 1 bar of atmospheric pressure on your body. So that means suddenly you have double the pressure per square centimeter on your body. And yeah, that amount of pressure tries to tighten up everything, you know. So you have, especially on the how do you say, on the air chambers in your body, you know, there's more pressure. And you maybe know that when you drive through a tunnel or when you are landing in a plane, you can suddenly feel that there's more pressure. And the same thing actually happens when you're underwater. Then you have twice the pressure on your body. So what does that mean? So underwater, let's say 10 meters under the water surface, with 2 bars of pressure, when I breathe in again, my lungs, I fill them with 8 liters of volume, but suddenly the mass is not as equal as it was on a surface level, like 8 liters. It's still a volume of 8 liters, but the mass is twice as much. I don't have the mass of 8 liters of air in my lungs. Suddenly I have like the mass of 16 liters of air in my lungs, which is a huge deal. You know, that basically means there's double the amount of matter, if you want to say, or air in my lungs. So yeah, let's assume at 10 meters you have your lungs filled, you shoot up to the surface, to sea level again. So the 16 liters of lung mass, even though it's just the volume of 8 liters, the 8 liters suddenly want to expand to 16 liters because it's the mass of 16 liters. I don't know if you can follow me. Please let me know if I'm making this clear or not, or if you want me to go into more detail. But suddenly the air wants to expand, and you have double the mass of air in your lungs, and that's how you get a trauma, you know, like a lung trauma, and you can expand your lung, and you can actually hurt your lungs so bad, and you can actually die from that. So this is how do you call it, a barotrauma, I think. And it's super important, and considering while you go diving, you know, underwater, you have to be very careful with the pressure. You have to go up slowly and make sure that the air can adapt, and you always breathe in and out, so you don't have too much pressure in or volume or matter or air basically in your lungs, and not get a trauma. So this is just so you understand how the atmospheric pressure has an effect of mass, of volume, and how this mass and this volume has an effect in your body. So what happens, let's say, for mathematical reasons, we keep it simple. We say we go on 5,000 meters, okay? On 5,000 meters, we don't have the atmospheric pressure of 1 bar around us, like here. On 5,000 meters, just roughly, this is not correct, okay? But roughly we have like only half a bar of atmospheric pressure. So yeah, half the atmospheric pressure is on our body. What does that mean? Hold on, there's this street musician again, and I have to wait for that and explain it after. So continuing with our example of a person standing on a 5,000 meter mountain, only having half the atmospheric pressure on their body. So that means there's less pressure on every square centimeter that holds the matter, the blood, your cells in place. That means they want to expand more. They have suddenly less force that works against them, so they naturally want to expand. So that means that the water in your body, the blood in your body, the nitrogen, everything suddenly works different in your body. The blood flow, everything is changed and messed up, and that's only 5,000 meters, half the atmospheric pressure. It gets more and more intense if you go higher up. So somehow your body will realize, man, my body is not functioning as it should. The system is not running as it should. I have to recalibrate the system. Okay, that is just very, very, very simply speaking. So what your body starts doing is it's starting to adapt the blood cells, basically, but also in general, just your cells at all, or all of your body cells. They are adapting the wall of the cells. I think it gets a little bit thicker. The amount of water that is stored in the cells will be adjusted. So your body does a whole reshaping process while acclimatizing. And yeah, it's not just the blood, which I will talk about in a minute, but all your body basically, and the cells need to have some reshaping in order to function again up there. So talking about oxygen and what oxygen actually does in your body. So actually oxygen is probably the main resource of energy in our body. I'm not gonna go into detail how the ATP in our body works, how the metabolism works, and how the chemical reaction is of going from ATP to ADP and I think MP and so on. I'm not gonna go into detail because this is super theoretical and super chemical stuff. I don't want to annoy you with that, but just know that our body as a main resource needs oxygen in order to function, to run. And just me, you know, moving my legs, I need oxygen for that. I'm breathing constantly, you know, so my lungs can transport oxygen to my body, to my whole system, to my muscles via my veins and arteries and the blood. And that way the oxygen can move to my muscles and they can perform the action, you know, and transfer that energy of the oxygen into movement. This is just very, very, very broad speaking and super simple explanation because it's super complex. Okay, it's yeah, it's like an iceberg. So as you can imagine, being on 5,000 meters, having only half the atmospheric pressure, so when I want to fill my 8-liter lungs again up there with air, with oxygen, I'm standing on 5,000 meters, I'm breathing in. Usually I have a volume of 8 liters. I don't have 8 liters, I think I have more, but I don't know. I'm breathing in, but suddenly there's not 8 liters of air in my lungs. Effectively, these are 8 liters, but I only have the mass of 4 liters of oxygen in my lungs. Again, half the atmospheric pressure multiplied by 0.5. So instead of 8 liters or the usual mass, it's only half of the mass. So I explained to you that there's still 21% of oxygen up there, but now the lungs are only half full, you know, with the oxygen. That means effectively there are less air molecules in my lungs. So less molecules can go through my body, go through my blood, go to my muscles, and therefore I have less energy to support my whole body and to perform physical actions, to perform movement. So our body is a genius. Our body realizes, hey, something is wrong. We suddenly only get like half the oxygen in with every breath. Everything else is messed up. So we have to adapt. We have to acclimatize. And that's what our body also does. In order to transport more oxygen through our system, our body can produce more red blood cells. The red blood cells also, again, simplified, okay? The red blood cells help with the oxygen transport in our blood vessels, in our cardiovascular system. So with more red blood cells, we're suddenly able to use more of the oxygen than we were before here at sea level of what we breathe in, and use more of that oxygen and distribute it to our body. And the more red blood cells we have, the better our body is able to use the lesser oxygen on that higher altitude. And this is basically, in very, very, very simple terms and very, very broad explanation, what acclimatization is. So the question is, how do you do that? How do you acclimatize? How do you make your body ready or train your body to do that? First of all, I have to say there's still a lot of medical research studies to be done in order to understand the topic completely. There's a lot of things we don't know. There are some things we already know, and people are researching, physicists are trying to understand what's going on. Last year I talked to a physician from Switzerland up there who was testing the blood of Sherpas and non-Sherpas in Nepal on base camp and then at Kathmandu, trying to figure out what the differences are. Some people have a certain gene combination that lets them adapt faster, or they have more red blood cells in their system. So yeah, this is a huge topic, and we don't understand the whole process of it yet. So what we can broadly say about acclimatization, about the oxygen, about the red blood cells, and how our body adapts is, you cannot train it. You know, I cannot go running here for 3 months and then I'll be better at acclimatizing and adopting. That's not how it works. It's also not that I can run up mountains, you know, beforehand and 2 years later go to the mountains again and then have great acclimatization. This is not how it works, because the effect gets lost after a few weeks. It doesn't last very long. Our body readapts again if we're down here at sea level. So there is probably a possibility to eat certain food, to have an iron-rich diet, and so on, etc., yada yada. But I don't know too much about that, and I don't know how much this is proven. But what I do know, and what all the expert alpinists report, is that the solution, the magical formula to say, is time. The only thing that you can do is give your body a lot of time to adapt, to acclimatize. The more, the better. This is really the rule of thumb. The more time you give to your body, the better your body can adapt. So common mistake people do, and that way it gets very, very dangerous. People think, yeah, I can just go to Everest Base Camp in 10 days and feel great there. And that's just not the case. People who try to go to Everest Base Camp from Kathmandu in 10 days, you can do that, but it can also happen that you don't acclimatize at all and you feel miserably, and you can even die. I saw 2 people die near Everest Base Camp in Gorakshep last year because they had bad acclimatization going. Their body did not adapt fast enough and they died. Okay, so this is a serious issue and you should not underestimate it. And again, the golden formula is time, 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 and once more time. So this is exactly what I will be doing. I'll be giving my body enough time, and that's the reason why I want to go there in February, start acclimatizing. I go up to 2,000 meters, I go up to 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 meters. I spend 2 weeks at 5,000 meters before I ascend higher. I train up there, and that way I can make sure my body has a lot of time to adapt, build all the red blood cells, build all the harder and strengthened walls of my cells, and that way I can make sure that I'm acclimatized well enough. So now you could ask, how do you then acclimatize for an 8,000er, you know? Because that's a completely different game, and how can you do that? I did it last year without oxygen. I was standing on the 4th highest mountain on Lhotse with 8,500 meters without oxygen. And yeah, there's just a very simple way. As I said, give your body enough time. Do some cardio up there. That is super important in my opinion, that you do some cardio. It's easy to go up there to just sit around at base camp, do nothing. That way you won't acclimatize very well. You have to actually get your cardiovascular system going. You have to do walks. You have to do a little bit of jogging maybe if you can. And that way, you know, set some impulse to your system, to your body, to start acclimatizing. And then it's simple, you know, you go to base camp, you spend some time there after your body acclimatized and adapt. And then there's another rule that we say that means, or that goes like, walk high, sleep low. Or yeah, just reach a high point during the day, and when you sleep a little bit below. In practical terms, that means, let's say our base camp is at 5,600 meters, our tent is there, we sleep there. So what we want to do is maybe one day we go up to 6,000 meters during the day, let our body experience how it feels, how the environment is at 6,000 meters, and then we go down again to 5,600 meters and spend the night there and acclimatize. Maybe do that a few times, maybe just one time or two times, but that way you're sending your body the signals, hey, this is the atmospheric pressure we're dealing with, get ready to adapt. And that's what your body is gonna do overnight. If you give him enough rest and sleep and good food, it will adapt overnight, and then you will have probably an easier time walking at 6,000. And we repeat this strategy. We go up to 6,300, go down to 6,000 again, maybe go up to 6,500 and go down again, and rinse and repeat. It's a very, very long and enduring process, but you have to do it. So acclimatization at Everest goes, or how I did it last year as well, was I went to base camp, went to camp 1, actually I went to camp 2 directly, but that's a different story. And I was there, went down the same day, slept at base camp. Then I went up to camp 2 again, went down to base camp, slept there again. Then I went up to camp 2 again. I skipped camp 1, if you're wondering why I'm not talking about it. I was able to skip camp 1 because I was very well acclimatized, because I moved there so early, so I was able to skip camp 1. So after a while I was able to sleep at camp 2, and then I went up to camp 3, go down to camp 2 again, sleep there. Again, go up to camp 3, sleep at camp 4, sleep at camp 3. I went up to camp 4, had to spend one night there, but you could not really call that a night and not sleeping. Go down to camp 3, sleep another night there, go down to camp 2, sleep another night there. And then people are going down to base camp, and others are even flying down with a helicopter to Kathmandu. But I'm not gonna do that. So if you go with oxygen, like supplementary oxygen bottles, you can actually get away without having to do all this rotation. You still have to do rotations, but you can minimize the rotations. So you could do one stop at camp 4 and directly push to the summit, even though I would never recommend that. But you know, people don't have a lot of time. Money is time, so what people do is they go camp 4, they try to reach the summit, and they suffer a lot of issues, and a lot of people die. 2023 was the deadliest mountaineering season in all of history, and yeah, people are just underestimating the mountain, the acclimatization, the oxygen, and their own body. They overestimate. So I am personally always gonna go one night to camp 4, and then I have to go down to camp 3 and at least to camp 2, depending on how well I'm acclimatized. This is my rule of thumb. I'll stick to it. It can be done that you can summit a higher 8,000 a mountain without sleeping at camp 4, but I would never recommend it, and I personally will never do it because I don't want to risk my life even more that I'm doing already. You know, it's already very, very dangerous. People die overnight in their tent sleeping, not knowing anything what's happening around them or with their body. So mountaineering is dangerous enough already, and I don't want to add more risk to the whole thing. So I'll do the exercise, I go up to camp 4, I sleep there, and I go down to 3 to 2 and sleep there and acclimatize. And if I feel I can and regenerate, sorry, and if I feel like I cannot regenerate at camp 2, I have to go down to base camp and regenerate there. You know, that's how it is, and you have to respect the environment, the nature, and especially your body. Last night before going to the summit, the down suit is on, my inner boots of my La Sportiva shoes are on. I will be sleeping additionally in the sleeping bag. I won't use the rucksack. Here are my shoes. I try to keep them close.
so they're not too cold tomorrow morning. My harness, my helmet. This is my emergency oxygen bottle in case I feel bad at night, but I'm not gonna take it to the summit. Yeah, and that's me. I'm very exhausted. I didn't have enough sleep last night. This could probably cost me the summit. We will see if I get proper sleep tonight, and then if I can reach the summit. Yeah, so it's about 6 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock, I don't know. Now 6 o'clock, and gonna go to bed now. The alarm goes 2-3 a.m. Then I put on my equipment, and then I try to summit my first 8,000 meter mountain without oxygen. Let's see how it goes.
Oh, if you were able to follow me, if you were able to understand everything that I said, now you also maybe understand and figure out why it makes sense why I start with Annapurna, 8,090 meters, because that's good acclimatization for my body, and because of the weather, but I'll talk about weather in another video. It has to do with the jet streams, but that's a good mountain to start, a low 8,000er, even though it's a hard one. Then Makalu, the fifth highest, I think, 8,450 something, you know, even a little bit higher. My body can adapt to that. And then I only need to go like 400 meters more to do Everest. 400 meters may not sound like a lot, but trust me, up there it's insane, okay? And that way, or that is my strategy, that way I hope my body is acclimatized well enough after Makalu. Even though I'm very exhausted, I will be completely exhausted, I will have lost a lot of fat and muscle reserves, my body will be kind of weak, but I have to see, maybe I can do it. But yeah, I think I won't have to worry about acclimatization at all. My body will be completely adapted to the altitude, and I won't suffer a haze or a HAPE. It's a high altitude cerebral edema or high altitude pneumothorax edema, basically meaning you suffer an injury with your lungs or your brain. And I think this can definitely not happen with this strategy. Of course I need to be careful, but yeah, this is how I can minimize the danger of that. But of course I have to see if I have enough resources, enough energy, and enough mental energy to pull on through. All right, I think I talked about acclimatization enough. I don't know how the sound quality was, how the background noises were. I'm sorry guys, it was a little bit of a longer video, but it's a super important topic and I could talk even more about it, but this is just like a first and broad overview what acclimatization is, why it's so important, what it actually does, and how you can achieve it. All right, that's it. I just completed my walking. I am walking for 1 hour and 6 minutes now. I walked 6 kilometers, and would you look at this? This is a little exercising training ground, and you know what I have to do now? Yes, I have to work on my upper body. I do my exercises, and yeah, that's what I'm gonna do now. Talk to you guys later or tomorrow. Oh yeah, tomorrow, if the weather allows it, if it's not too windy, I will go to a local mountain here. It's called the Cerro Lucero. It's about 1,850 meters high, and yeah, I'll climb that mountain tomorrow. Maybe I'll go alone. I'll definitely go. Maybe my little brother joins me. That depends on if he's able to wake up early. So yeah, stay tuned. Tomorrow we go climbing a mountain again, the first time after I injured my ankle. All right, talk to you guys.
Ach so. Entschuldigung. Ja, come on. Dann geht es so auf den Sack. Und noch einer. Und noch einer.
Jawohl.
Jawohl, ja.
All right, I guess that's it for the day. I was a little bit late, but this is just due to the fact that I had to recover a little bit. I was sleepy, my body was strained. I was relaxing today most of the time, to be completely honest with you, which is also necessary. And yeah, I wanted to explain a little bit why I just did a walking session today. I don't know if I did that earlier in the video, but who cares? I'll just repeat myself. I'm doing that anyways all the time. So yeah, the reason why I still wanted to move my body but not go for a super slow jog is I felt like my muscles and my ankle was not ready for a jog yet, and I really felt like they need a break. And but moving the body, getting the heart rate up just a little bit, just pushing the cardiovascular system a little bit, and actually excuse me, activating the blood flow in my muscles, and especially in my legs and in my left ankle, is super important. Why is that the case? The muscles, I think this is the state of knowledge physicists and athletes have about it, is having just a little bit of activity of movement is way better for regeneration than not having any movement at all, just laying on the couch and doing nothing. Walk like this increases the blood flow through the tissue, through the muscles, and also the oxygen transportation and nutrition transportation, and it actually helps with the regeneration. And it's also the same with the injuries. You know, there is still an injury in my ankle. I can feel that. It hasn't completely healed yet. So at the beginning of the injury, and if you're a physicist and you know any better or you have a different opinion, please let me know, share it in the comments, because I'm not a physicist. I don't know everything about it. It's just the knowledge I was able to gather so far. So with my injury, it's actually beneficial now to have just a slow and very relaxed exercise, to have the blood flow going, to have the oxygen and the nutrition going through the wound, through the injured part of my body, and that actually helps actively with the regeneration and the healing process. So yeah, that was the reason why. It's only a slow walk today, and tomorrow hopefully I can go to the mountains and yeah, breathe some fresh mountain air. All right guys, thank you for watching, and see you tomorrow after the mountain session. I think I'll do a little cut, release it, and yeah, talk to you tomorrow guys. Bye bye.